Azza is one of these companies that we haven't heard anything from for years. The last thing I personally remember is their cast case, which was kinda cool, but totally out of their usual style, except for that triangle case. No, the majority of Azza products we've covered over here are their mid-tier, budget-friendly things, most notably their cases, some of which got to know me from a very different side, but a whole other story. This is the Azza Neo, not Q, cause that one is already used. This is one of Azza's mid-tower cases, standing tall at 493mm high, 220mm wide and 464mm deep. It comes roughly how you would expect a budget-friendly case to come in. A simple carton box containing some images and the case itself protected by a plastic bag and some extra styrofoam. Now, I do have a lot to say about this, especially because I had a bunch of Azza budget-friendly cases on this table or on a different table years ago, and I can very clearly see where they've learned stuff and where they didn't. But before we do that, let's go over all of the case's specs. Even if this is just a mid-tower and a quite small one at that, this thing can house some giant motherboards. From mini ITX to regular ATX, all the normal stuff fits just fine. But by using the additional holes towards the front, we can even go as far as eATX. And the funny thing about this is that we do not even lose the cable holes around the motherboard, because Azza left 2 additional ones just behind the front fans in case somebody needs to compensate for something, which is great. For your air coolers, we can go pretty high with up to 170mm high aluminum blocks, and thanks to that distance from the motherboard plate to the 3mm thick and slightly tinted tempered glass side panel, we are looking at no restrictions for the nowadays often occurring problem of giant GPUs paired with that beloved NVIDIA Octopus. On our case, just the 600-watt cable, which fits perfectly fine. And that goes into both directions, cause you'll need a card that is at least 400mm long until you start hitting the front fence, so you should be good to go. But I jumped a bit too quickly over that side panel part, cause the right metal panel is attached using 2 catching screws and the sliding screw mechanic, which is nice. And the glass one is sitting on 2 hinges, allowing it to open up as you please. And with please, I mean force. The glass is kept in place using 2 magnets, and with magnets, I mean magnets. Like, they are ridiculously strong. I had to pull, or you have to pull so freaking hard to open this up, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sure, when I first opened the case, I had my iPad sitting just next to it for my notes, and you can guess how that ended. But I think it's a good thing. Once the case is full, you'll have some weight keeping it in place and the whole thing becomes easier, which is definitely the case now compared to my iPad incident. But most importantly for kids, magnetically attached side panels are a safety hazard if you got kids running around. Just imagine what they could do to your waifu card. But with magnets this strong, no problem, the kids can't hurt your true love. In the top of the case we will also find the I/O, 2 USB 3.0 Type A's, 1 in Type C that looks like it's a 3.2, a separate audio in and out, and clicky power reset and RGB button. And yes, of course there is RGB. The Azza Neo comes pre-filled with 4 identically looking RGB fans, 3 in the front as intake and 1 in the back as exhaust. The RGB controller can be used by connecting the SATA power coming out in the back of the case and then smashing that LED button. Or if you want to do it yourself, pass the signal through to your motherboard. If you don't want to use these fans, just bring your own. The front of the case supports the obvious 3 120mm spots, but also 3 140s can be used in here. The back is 120mm only, and the top can be filled with either 3 120s or 2 140s, behind a magnetically attached dust filter. And if you're asking yourself why there are 3 rails on one side, I have no clue. The inner one is for 120s, the outer one is for 140s, the central one is for I have no clue for what. Officially, there is no fan size with a hole spacing of 150 millimeters, which would be like the one rail or the first rail and the middle one. I don't know, maybe custom stuff? Speaking of useless holes, there are 2 additional 120 millimeter spots on the top of the separated power supply shroud with a glory hole. And I'm not saying useless lightly. Sure, the most bottom front mounted fan does slightly peek underneath that shroud. But other than that, these 2 spots have nowhere to get their air from. So in the very best case, they might be helping to redirect the air into the GPU. That's more like help and not actual work. On the radiator side, we can do quite some stuff in here. By spec, both the top and the front support 360 or 280 millimeter radiators. And in theory, you could even get away with a dual 360 radiator setup simultaneously. Just keep in mind that the front one would need to be pressed down as much as possible, and neither of them can be thick ones. But thanks to the 67mm of space between the front and the shroud, you can even do some push-pull in the front. In the back of the case, we'll also find the available hard drive spots. We got 2 3.5 or 2.5 inch drives in and on the hard drive cage, which is movable or removable. And then there are also 2 additional 2.5 inch spots right behind the motherboard. In case you don't need as many hard drives and decide to remove the cage, you will end up making the PSU compartment much more compatible. By default, I would only feel comfortable with up to 150mm long PSUs. Once the cage is gone, do whatever the hell you want. Okay, with the general specs covered, let's get to the things that Azza did or did not learn over the last few years. As a first good lesson is quality. For a mid-tier, mid-budget case, this is significantly sturdier than what Azza used to do in the past. The PSU shroud might have a little bit of a flex to it, but the motherboard panel, that one is like the most or one of the most solid ones I have seen in this price segment. Everything as a whole, the metal parts of the case are good considering the price segment that we are looking at here, and especially what Azza did in the past. And that quality of things also slightly spills over into other categories, like included GPU anti-sag bracket. Repositionable to whatever position you need it in, quite handy little addition. All the buttons. In the past I had huge issues pressing the RGB button of an Azza case because they were always like slightly lowered into the metalwork, and because I have sausage fingers. But not anymore. Very reachable, including a very clicky sound. But not everything is gold. Although everything seems to be higher quality, I did notice a few little things, like for example that the holes for the power supply do not align, let's say 100% with the power supply. There are, a millimeter off, but diagonally a millimeter, and suddenly you need to, really press that screw in. Or for example that anti-sag bracket, which is amazing. However, if the GPU is long enough, that thing will become useless because the GPU can no longer rest on that hinge that you can move, but it will just rest on the screw, which I personally do not feel like I want that. But that's inevitably what happens, and the only way to get around that would be to remove that hinge part. But then if you have protruding fans, then you have a whole other issue. So that screw should be mounted from the bottom and then not protrude. That would be like ideal. So Azza did learn a lot, but they can do a bit more. Another aspect where Azza definitely learned their lesson is about cable management. It feels kind of ridiculous how much rubber there is around the motherboard area. All 3 holes on the right of the motherboard are rubberized, and even the 2 after that will only, or most probably only, be used in combination with an E80X motherboard are also rubberized. But if that wasn't enough, we got almost ridiculously big holes in the bottom. The nowadays mandatory GPU power connector hole is also there, and I believe the biggest amount of zip tie slots I have ever seen in a mid-sized case. The only 2 things I'm not such a huge fan of is the size of the holes for the CPU power connector, which seems like a bit of a squeezy thing, and that there is only 2mm of space in the back. 2.5 can make a huge difference, but at least we got some Velcro strips prepared for us. But not everything what Azza learned was a good lesson, like the fans for example. Now, I'm not talking about their performance. These are free fans, and what did you expect? But we will talk more about that on the performance section of this review. No, I am talking about cabling. All of this mess is just for the fan power and RGB. What in the hell is this adapter and why does it adapt a 2-pin button header into another with 3 pins where one is unused? And what the hell is this connection graph? It actually sounds way more complicated than it actually is. To make it easy, there is a master fan, the top front one in my case, and that one gives you the PWM and ARGB connection to the other fans. From that, the signal is daisy chained to all the other fans using this thing, and somewhere in between there is a cable from the RGB button coming into the master fan. It's really that simple, and by default everything is pre-wired and all you need to do is give it power and color if you really want to. But this is kind of a mess by default, and because the actual RGB controlling is not happening below the button or like in the I/O, but it is happening inside the master fan, and therefore you have no possibility to use the RGB controller if you decide to replace the fans with something else. You will still have the button, it will just not do anything other than click. You can always bring your own controller, and if that one has like a button connection, a button connector 2-pin, then you can connect it and use it there, but if you bring just RGB fans, you basically lose the controller. The other issue I have with this is that it is not expandable. Sure, you got a leftover whatever connector, but if you don't use the exact same fans, yep, you end up with separate color circuits, which just sucks. Kind of a bummer if you ask me, and easily avoidable. Even Azza did use regular 3-pin ARGB fans in the past, sometimes even with integrated controller in the front I/O. Why not just stick to that? And now let's talk about the front. I personally like the design. I think the silver window type stuff does give it some charm, especially that clean as hell Azza logo on the side. And the dust filter in the middle seems to be fairly big enough to not cause meaningful restrictions to the front fans. It might be a bit plasticky, like the whole front does give a bit of a plasticky thing, and the tolerances could be a bit tighter, but the colors are nicely matched with the metal parts, and considering we are in the budget category, I think this is fine. And at least it's unique. But, you know, design is design, it's up to you. No, the thing I actually did not like about it is how to remove it. Cause there is nothing to stick your fingers in. Based on the manual, the front panel just yeets itself off the case as if it was nothing. But in reality, all you have is this tiny, whiny flap, which is way too small for anybody who has reached the age of 6. I think what they thought people would do is rest one finger on one of the case's feet and then somehow pull it off. It does work. I did it a few times, but it's not pleasant. It hurts. Just drill a freaking hole in there. Like you did in the past, as Azza did it in the past. Now, before I forget, the feet of the case are surprisingly good. Like unnaturally sturdy and sticky for their size. A lot better. I would throw off things on the other end of the table. But it's a lot better than what Azza used to do. And now let's talk a bit about performance. We did this build here a week ago, and this is a 13700K paired with a Gainward Phantom 4080 and a brand new Azza Cube 360. Now I did a bit of temperature benchmarks inside of this case. This exact build here, and for the GPU Firmark 4K all in, it was sitting at like 53 degrees. The GPU is super cold. For the CPU, I had everything on stock. The pump was running at whatever the motherboard was selling it to, and the fans were running at whatever the motherboard was selling it to. And in the end, the CPU never reached 90 degrees C with Cinebench 24 running in loop, which is an excellent result, given the AIO also for some reason performs surprisingly well, but the whole system performs fine. There doesn't seem to be any air restriction from the front. The front fans do push some air. They are not amazing. They are really not the best fans on the market. And I did notice that sometimes you can hear a bit of a bearing noise. It's not unpleasantly loud. Of course, if I put a microphone next to it, it will be unbearably loud. But sitting next here, you can hear me speak and now not speak. It's not like you hear them in idle, and even under load, it's really okay. It is to be replaced if you have the budget, but if you don't have the budget, they are perfectly fine. And sure, they are not the greatest, but their ARGB implementation looks quite nice, and in general, I don't believe they are that loud. On a small side note, I did measure the speed of the front and back fans, and they are spinning at roughly 1350 RPM. So they are definitely like case fan speeds. They do push a bit, like from a static pressure side, but don't expect them to be rocking a radiator. That's not for that. But the front isn't restrictive at all, so they will do the job just fine. So where do we stand? In general, I do like the case, and considering its placement on the market, I see no issue with this. The fans might have been better, sure, they always can be, and the cabling in the back is a mess by default, but other than that whole fan thing, the case scores all the important points. We got good airflow in the front, good fan and radiator support all around the case, a surprising amount and size of cable holes, good GPU and CPU cooler support, and a quite good quality. But the most important aspect will remain it being ready to go. Usually I would now end the video with the price and make like a final verdict based on that. The problem is that I can't. In all the spots that I'm usually looking at, it's just not there. And even Googling random online stores, nothing. And I don't want to use like the MSRP line, because living here in Europe, MSRP is more like a what we would wish for and not what will actually happen once it goes into a container. Not even nearly accurate. So I would expect the case to be about 60 euros, and that would be a good price for it. The quality would be fitting for that price tag, and it would make it a good choice for first time builders or people who just need to get something quick going without spending the extra money on fans. If it's more than that, yeah, sure, still okay, but there are alternatives. Not necessarily better alternatives, but alternatives. And of course, if you like the design, it's a bunch of squares in the front. Either you like that or you don't. But be aware that they do feel kind of plasticky, especially the covered one on the side, which I don't understand why they covered it. They could have just made the whole thing mesh with like a structure in cubes. That would have been better. But okay, their choice, the fans are not restricted, so that would be like unnecessary mesh, I get that. But them being black, that does add a bit of a plasticky feeling. But okay, for today, this is going to be it for Azza and their Neo. And on a side note, we also have a Discord server, so if you want to join, the link is down below. And of course, we still have channel membership, so if you're looking for a good way to sell your soul for an RG poop emoji, that's a pretty good way to go. Additionally, you can rest assured that the income will not only keep the channel afloat, but will also serve to start a petition to rebrand this case as the Neo Cube or Neo Square. I don't care, but there has to be some sort of square in the name. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to continue, have a look at our take on the Silverstone Milo 2. It might look like a Dell Optiplex, but believe me, it's not a Dell Optiplex. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye bye.